Android Basics this week is all about editing. How do you manipulate text on Android phones to best effect? Warren, do you want to kick this one off?
This is a very important part of our Android basic segments. And, you know, when you install or when you set up your Android device, and we talk about keyboards and things like that. Now, what good is a keyboard if you're not going to be writing something and editing something? Now, here's the problem that we have. I know that people have been talking about the fact that they don't like the behavior of the keyboard or Gboard with the update whereby now we could have double tap and all of that, and in the process of doing that some of these things kind of got messed up a little bit, most especially whereby if one is editing an article or editing or whatever, you're in an edit field and then you move to the keyboard and then the edit doesn't have a focus on the editing box. And this is one of the things that people have been talking about. So let's talk about that today and show people how we can go about doing this editing without a headache. So I want to bring up, by the way, today I'm using the Acapella TTS. For those of you who like Acapella, Miss Heather is driving my car today.
Scanning face 9:26 a.m. Device unlocked.
Uh,
Pixel launcher.
there's
Folder.
that girl.
Messaging. 4 or more items.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go into something like Google Keep and try to show how we do editing, especially with Gboard. And I believe that with other keyboards as well, it would be the same thing. But since we are focusing on Gboard here and editing, let me do that. Open Keep Notes.
Keep notes. New list.
Okay, so my Keep Notes is up. And what I'm going to do
New drawing note.
is that I'm going to...
New audio note. New text note. Note opened. Showing English, US, QWERTY, keyboard.
So here I am, and here's what we're talking about. I'm going to try to kind of do a little dictation here.
Capital P, board, voice input.
Hello, and welcome to the Blind Android Users Podcast for episode 18, period, new paragraph. Today is April 10, 2021, period.
Space.
Okay.
Delete. Space deleted. Hello and welcome to the Blind Android Users Podcast for episode 18. Today is April 10th, 2021. Edit box, editing, note for note body, enlist, keep notes.
So I am in the edit field. Now, if I decide to say, hey, I want to go by character or word by word or something like that, and
Characters.
And I could use either the gesture navigation.
Period. 1.
Or I can use the volume keys.
1.
I'm doing
1. Period. End of field.
So if you are hitting the up volume, you are going toward the right, and you're hitting the down volume, you're going backwards.
Period. 1, 2, 0, 2, space.
Now let me go to words.
Speech rate.
Whoop, nah, my mistake there.
Characters. Words.
Okay, so I'm going to go backwards.
2021. 2021, 10th April is today, 18.
Okay, so here's where the problem comes. The problem comes most especially, let's say I go to the end of this document.
18
I want to add something.
Is April 10th, 2021.
Okay, and I am at the end and I want to add something. Let me go to
period, end of field.
So
space.
I hit space.
Added list, board, 2021.
Now that I hit space, what has happened is that now my focus has moved to the keyboard. If I try to use my gesture, like I'm in character mode now, if I'm in character mode now and I want to use that gesture to go back to the space that I just gave, and I swipe up with one finger.
E. Echo.
It says E. And if I use my volume key.
Mute.
See what I'm doing? it's
Music volume set to 25%.
it's not gonna work because my focus is now on the keyboard and it's not on the edit field, and this has been the headache for most, and a lot of people don't understand that, and therefore it's a very frustrating thing. So in order for me to go back to the edit field to where I could now interact with what I have in the edit field, I have to move my finger to where my edit box is. So
Set redo button. Hello and welcome to the Blind Android Users
okay, so now that I am now in my edit field,
Space.
see, I can
Period.
now move
1, 2, 0.
with no headaches at all. Now, if I touch the keyboard, however,
The N.
I cannot,
Set redo
I
button.
wouldn't be able
O.
to.
O. Action. Back.
So you see,
R. T. Y.
if I,
U. I.
all I'm doing
O.
is moving
Oscar.
through the keyboard. And that is how it works. So in order for you to be able to enjoy your keyboard, you want to make sure that when you want to edit something and you are needing to make that correction after you've typed it, you want to go back to the edit field, touch that edit field, and make sure that you are back in that edit field, or else you would simply be interacting with the keyboard and not with the edit field. And the reason why is because some people wanted the double tap to type and things like that. And so Google kind of implemented it in a halfway manner, if you ask me, because in order to be able to do that double tapping, you must have first typed that very first one using the lift to type, and then from there you can swipe to any key and double tap. And that would be how we do editing with the Gboard. And of course, you can always bring up the menu, and where you can do things like selection menu and things like, copying and things like that. That also is found in your editing. Like
Talkback menu.
if I bring back my talkback menu,
Read from next item. Read from navigation. Talkback menu. Audit list.
you see the reason why I'm not seeing the
Keep note.
whatever. Let me go back to the edit field.
Hello and welcome to
Okay, now if I bring up my talkback menu,
Talkback menu. Editing options.
we got editing
Navigation.
option.
Read from top. Navigation. Editing options. Editing options. Move cursor to beginning in list.
So we got move cursor to the beginning,
Move cursor to end.
move cursor to end.
Select all.
There's a select all,
Start or end selection mode.
start or end selection mode,
Cancel button.
and
Audit
then
list.
there's a
Cancel.
cancel. So if I want to move to the end of this thing I just wrote,
Move editing options. Move cursor to beginning. And move cursor to end. End of field.
there's my
Oscar.
end of field. And then of course I could go back to that and move back to the beginning of the document if that's what I want. Or if I want to start, selection mode, I could go in there and do the selection mode. Now, the reason why I'm not doing the three finger tap or whatever to do the editing, because you can use those to do that too and invoke all of that. But since most of the phones out there don't have that feature or that have that multi-finger support, it is important that we show people where to go to find that editing feature. And you can also assign how you invoke those editing feature. For instance, you can go to your talkback and choose how you invoke the selection mode or the editing mode. And that would be all that there is about editing with Android and Gboard.
Thanks, Warren. I agree with you for what it's worth about double tapping. If Google want double tapping, they should have it as an alternative behavior to swipe, lift to type, rather than trying to make lift to type exhibit double tapping behavior through swiping. Because as you say, with that, then obviously the up and down navigation is going to take you through the keyboard, not the edit field. I'm not sure that's massively helpful. I noticed when you were in the menu and the edit options, there were no cut and copy and paste options. Is that because the menu is context sensitive? So if you'd selected some text, would we have seen cut and copy and paste and all the rest of it?
Exactly. So if I had selected anything, let's just do that for
Talkback menu.
giggles, shall we?
Read from top. Navigation. Talkback menu. Audit list.
Oh, I was out of
Keep
my.
notes.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. So let's
Talkback
try
menu.
to.
Navigation. Editing options. Editing option. Edit. Move cursor
So
to
I'm going
beginning.
to just
In
say
list.
select all.
Move cursor to end. Select all. Selected text. Hello and welcome to the blind Android
Okay.
users. Talkback menu.
Now,
Read from top. Navigation. Talkback menu. Audit list. Read from top. Navigation. Talkback menu. Audit list.
hey, what's going on
Talkback
here?
menu.
Hang on.
Keep notes.
It's showing me, let's see here.
Talkback menu. Navigation. Editing options. Editing options. Move cursor. Cut.
That's a cut.
Copy.
That's a copy.
Select all.
And already selected all, so I cannot.
Start or end selection mode. Cancel
Yeah.
button.
So once you
Keep note.
select something, and since we're talking about that part, there's something that I wanted to talk about earlier when we were doing keyboards last week, and I hope to God this doesn't make this thing a little lengthy, but it has to do with that editing found on the Gboard itself, just in case someone would rather use that. My only problem with that is that Google Gboard doesn't read that. So, for instance, in the toolbars above your keyboard in Gboard, if you go to more features or open more features, let me see.
More action button. Keep voice input. More features. More features opened.
When you go to more features, what we're looking for is to find one that says
Redo button. Disabled. More text editing.
text editing.
Showing text editing.
When you tap on that text editing, there's something here that says selection mode.
Cursor up. Close select mode.
Now,
Cursor right.
if I do
Cursor right.
cursor right or cursor
Cursor
up,
right. Cursor up. Close select mode.
okay, so I close the selection mode. Here's the problem.
Cursor right. Open select mode. Cursor left. Space. Cursor down.
You can
Space.
you
End
can
of field.
you can hear that when I do cursor down or cursor up. Let's
Cursor up. Today is April 10th, 2R021.
go up.
Open select cursor up. New line.
Cursor up.
Cursor up. Lint Android Users Podcast for episode 18.
So you hear I can read using the up or down cursors or left
Paste.
or
Disabled
right.
because empty editor. Delete. Move cursor to the head.
Now move cursor to the head. That means move to top of file.
Hello and welcome to the beginning of field.
Okay. And
Copy. Disabled
so
because cursor right. Open select mode.
if I tap on
Close select mode.
open selection mode, ideally what is going on here is that if I go right arrow or if I go down arrow, whatever the case may be, I would be selecting the stuff. But
Paste. Disable cursor right.
see, I'm moving right,
Cursor right.
right,
Cursor right.
right,
Cursor right.
right,
Cursor right.
right.
Cursor right.
And I believe
Paste.
that
Disabled because cursor right.
that I'm selecting things, but it's not telling me
Cursor right.
what I'm doing, what I'm selecting.
Copy.
See, now I can copy. And so let's say I go
Showing English.
somewhere
US. Word.
and paste it. Now the problem is that it wouldn't, it didn't read what I was selecting. But if it were Microsoft Word and I invoke that selection mode on the Gboard, whatever I'm selecting would be verbalized. And so Google needs to go and figure out how it is that it works in Microsoft Word,
Pixel
but
launch.
not on any of the other editing
Apps
applications.
list.
So that's what I want to show. You could do it that way, but what good is it if you're not able to hear what you are selecting? And by the way, I think the technical keyboard does that well too, so something to try.
I think for the avoidance of doubt, it's worth pointing out, because we didn't actually show it, that if you turn on selection mode within the talkback edit options menu, that will read what you're selecting, won't it? So you don't have to use the Gboard method if you don't want to.
Yeah, it would. But it would be good that we have it also available on Gboard
Sure.
for
Yeah, yeah.
times that you don't have to go through the talkback editing features.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
One other question from me before I ask Mariam to talk about
Screen off.
commentary editing is
Then are silent.
what happens if I want to take some text from somewhere else and put it in an edit field? Maybe someone said something lovely in a comment about Austin on our podcast, and I want to copy that from Chrome to email to him in case he hasn't seen it. Can I do that?
So the problem that we have with talkback, and this has been an ongoing battle, and that battle has to do with the fact that we are not able to do a selective copying or selective selection. Let me use those words back to back. Selective selection. We can't do that on TalkBack without the importation or employment of some other third-party app. So if I want to copy some lovely comment made about Austin there and how great Austin is and all of that, and it's on our website, blindandroidusers.com, what I would have to do is to long press and simply find where it says select all and select all of that, and then go paste it in an editor and be able to then from there invoke my selection mode or whatever, and delete the portions that I don't want. Besides that, though, we can't do selective selection on Android using TalkBack on a web page. And that's been the major pain in our behinds.
Thanks, Warren.